So maybe you've seen something like this before if you're watching ESPN College Game Day. We have the Bear, Chris Fallica, in town. He was speaking at the Northwest Arkansas Touchdown Club today. And we're going to have a look at the rest of Arkansas's schedule. Chris, good to have you in town.
Very happy to be here.
Good to see you.
Great to finally meet you.
Now, the Football Power Index at ESPN says Arkansas might go 5-7 the rest of the way. A lot of people have different opinions about the Football Power Index. But they're 1-2, and I thought we would just go through the rest of their schedule. And obviously things change throughout the course of the season. But as it sits today, how you would pick them, and they're going to South Carolina after this week's game against New Mexico State. So we're just going to the next Power 5 conference game or the SEC game. So a week from Saturday, they'll be in Columbia. How do you see it?
Well, I'll say they'll be 2-2 after they beat New Mexico State this week.
All right.
So we're 2-2. I don't know about South Carolina right now with Samuel being out. They have a tough game on the road against A&M. I could see them potentially playing A&M tough. I could see about you. You're going to be an underdog here. I'm going to put the old Bear Claw up there and go win at South Carolina 3-2.
Really? Okay. With Debo Samuel being out, maybe feel a little bit better about it.
We saw them really struggle offensively last week without him against La Tech.
Yeah. But obviously, really good player. Okay, Arkansas goes to Alabama.
Do we need to?
I think this is maybe
need to save some time here.
Cover conversation, right? It's like this is probably going to be a massive spread,
right?
But I think you're probably going to go over.
Yeah, the win here, and we'll see what the number is. What do you think? Maybe 21, maybe.
It's in the 20s, right? I'm guessing it's in the 20s.
It'll be interesting to see because Alabama will have the Tennessee game mixed in there, the road trip to A&M. So. You know how Nick Saban sometimes, when he's a big favorite and there really isn't threatened, they'll pull some guys back, and they don't always cover those huge numbers. But
not a lot of drama or suspense right here in this line at the moment. Now Auburn could be a little bit more interesting. They come to Fayetteville. Obviously, on paper, they're better than Arkansas, but you know it seems like one game a year. Arkansas at least one game a year. Last year was Florida. They beat somebody really good at home.
And we saw what happened at Jordan-Hare last year. It was probably Arkansas's worst performance of the year. Auburn went up and down the field. This wouldn't surprise me coming off of a loss to Alabama if they pulled the home upset here. Because Auburn is a team I wasn't necessarily as high on at the start of the year. And it'll be curious to see how Stidham, if he continues to develop, that defense can continue to play well. But offensively against like Power 5 teams and good teams, I mean, they lit up. They scored 50-somewhat points last week against Missouri, but that doesn't count.
Right.
But I think this is going to be a really tough game for them. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Arkansas wins that game.
We'll talk about Missouri down here because I don't think they've played any defense yet this year. Arkansas then back on the road against Ole Miss. Which how do you gauge the Rebels right now this far ahead?
Exactly this far ahead. It's tough to do. All I can say is based on what we've seen thus far. Offensively, they're putting up a lot of points. Tough loss at Cal, but I like the fact that people always ask before the year, how are they going to perform? How are they going to get up? There's no bowl to play for. Can they sustain? But I think with Patterson and the guys that they have, they've played hard. And if they continue to do so, that could be a tough spot. I'll go with the Rebels at home.
Arkansas had a big win over the Rebels that were ranked when they came into Fayetteville last year. What about Arkansas and LSU? How do you feel about LSU right now?
It was funny. We had a segment last week on Game Day where we were buying and selling teams, our little stock segment after doing the opening bell on Friday. This is a team I would be selling. I think the quarterback is an issue. I think Ed Orgeron is a great recruiter, motivator, rah-rah, but something isn't right there. And I think till they get that quarterback situation squared away, we've seen Darius Geis already, my knees beat up. By this point, maybe he shuts it down, getting ready for the NFL draft. This is a really, really, really good chance for an upset, in my opinion.
Interesting.
It was the one thing, even though Arkansas may not be as talented as a lot of these other teams, they always seem to play hard for Brett Bielema, and that's something that you should get credit for.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can get that rolling with a 1-2 start because he seems to be good in comeback or pull out of adverse situations. All right, Mississippi State, what about the Bulldogs? We've seen a real jerk reaction in 2 weeks with them.
Well, we've gone from being the second best team in the SEC to now they stink and they're an underdog, a double-digit underdog at Auburn this week. I like Mississippi State. That was just not a good spot for them last week. Georgia is one of the better defenses in the SEC. They weren't going to be able to run the ball on Georgia that front at all. They held Notre Dame to 1.5 yards per carry, and the Irish were one of the top 5 rushing teams in the country. This is going to be a tough game for Arkansas, even though it is here. I like Fitzgerald. I like Eris Williams. I like that defense, and I think I like the Bulldogs to come in and get the road win.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, that quarterback, man, we all thought the quarterback would make a difference, Nick Fitzgerald, but they've shown to have some pieces around them early in the year that I didn't know they necessarily had. All right, I don't know if Missouri could play 7-on-7 defense right now. They just and when they play a good team, they don't seem to be very good. Like they played, I say good loosely, but even South Carolina, they had trouble scoring points against.
And Purdue, I mean, Purdue went up and down the field on them as well, and we're terrible in the Big Ten. Obviously, Brom has come in and done a great job with them. I mean, I think this is a no-brainer after Arkansas laying an egg in the second half last year in Columbia. I think they come home and I think they get the win. So what do we?
So I'm counting. You got 1, 2, 3. That's a big upset.
Yep.
4, and then the New Mexico State game this week.
5, so that puts them 6-6, right?
6. That'd get them to 6 wins.
Gets you a bowl game.
So there you have the football power index at 5-7, but Chris Fallica, the Bear, elevates Arkansas to bowl eligibility, which should make Razorback fans happy at least for the moment.
Exactly.